Hello and welcome back. Today I'm going to be working with a large piece of cherry, and it's a crotch piece as well, taken from a limb coming off the main body of the tree. And it's got some really quite nice looking grain on the top here, so I'm looking forward to seeing what's hidden inside. It's 11 inches in diameter, and on the thickest face it's 5 inches deep, and on the other side it's about 2.5 inches deep. So I'm not entirely sure how big the bowl will be left over once the bark is removed. There is a piece here that I might leave as a feature on the edge there, having a part missing out there to show that it was a crotch part of the tree. But we'll get this mounted on the lathe. I'll turn away the outside, see how much is left, and depending on how wet or dry it is, then I'll turn it around and finish it. At the very least, I'll hollow out the inside for a rough turn so that it will dry out quicker to be finished. I have the outside of this bowl rough turned now. I've managed to get rid of most of the bark that was on the outside. There's just this one little piece here which I think once it has fully dried out and I finish turning it, I'll be able to make a nice feature out of this. Once I've hollowed it out, I imagine this part here will maybe just crumble out. I might even rasp it out and make a nice feature out of it. My plan for this is to be a showpiece for the centre of a coffee table or on a sideboard, that sort of thing. So I'm not worried about if it moves or cracks or anything like that. If that happens, then it will just add to the character of the finished piece. So I'll reverse this on the tenon now and roughly hollow out the inside of the bowl, and then I'll leave it in the shavings for a couple of weeks, maybe a month or two, for it to fully dry out. Okay, I have the bowl rough turned on the inside as well now. It's a shame that quite a lot of the heartwood has been lost from it, but there is still a lovely grain pattern in the sapwood in there as well. I've left the thickness of the bowl at just over 15mm, so I'll have plenty to finish turn this once it has dried out. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to quickly weigh it to get an idea of its starting weight, and then I'm going to put it in a box with some of the shavings and leave it to dry for a few weeks or a month or two. Okay, it's been a few days since I did everything that you've seen so far in this video, and because I'm impatient I've decided to try something that I haven't done before, and that is to dry a blank or a piece of wood in my oven to speed up the drying process. So I took my rough turn bowl and I put it in the oven at just over 100 degrees for an hour, following the instructions of something I read online, and this is the result. The bowl blank is lovely and dry now. It has opened the grain in a few places around the outside of the bowl, especially where the other limbs have been coming out this crotch piece of wood. It's not so bad on the inside because it's mostly just the sapwood on the outside of the tree. So it is just at these the darker pieces where it's the sapwood of the branches. But I think overall it's going to add a bit of character, a stressed look to this bowl, so I'm not too worried about it. I did also pick out the remainder of the bark that was on the outside, so when I finish turning this now, this will open up into, again, just a nice feature for this bowl. It's not going to be a big bowl, it will just be a nice little artistic piece to sit on a table somewhere. So without further ado, I'll put this back on the lathe, get it finished turned, and let you see it. Right, I've put it on the lathe and I've had it spinning just to see if there was any movement, and it hasn't moved too much at all really, so I'm going to use the round nose scraper just to reduce the overall thickness a bit more and tidy up that inside surface. I'm pretty close to how I want to have it on the inside now, so I'm going to do a bit of final shaping on the outside, getting ready to get it sanded and apply some finish. There is some wonderful looking grain coming out on the inside of here now though, so I think this is going to end up a really beautiful bowl when it's finished. As far as the outside is concerned, there is quite a bad knot there, a slightly worse one there, just where it's been cut through the pith all the way down through the crotch. But I am actually going to reduce the height of the bowl ever so slightly, and that should remove. I've still got quite a sharp turn here, so I'm going to refine this to a more sweeping curve to come around and then reduce the overall height, and that should give a really pleasing form for the final shape. Right, I'm fairly happy with the shape I have on the outside now. It's a gentle OG shape, really, is what I've gone for. I of course still have a bit of work to do on the foot, which I'll do once I've finished the inside and reversed it. So the last thing I want to do is just take a few shear cuts on the inside, really tidy up in there. I've put a bit of a chamfered edge on the rim, and I'm leaving the bowl quite thick as I have quite a nice feature on the inside of this inclusion here, and I don't want to turn this away on the outside either. I quite like that as well. So it's going to be a thicker bowl than what I would usually turn, just so that I can keep these natural features. I don't want to lose them. So I'll shear scrape the inside and then get it sanded, put some finish on the inside, and then reverse it on my cold jaws, ready to work on the foot. Okay, so as you've seen there, I've sanded up to 400 grit, and I wet sanded with the 400 grit as well, and that's done a wonderful job at filling in these bigger cracks here. When you wet sand with oil, the combination of the sawdust and the oil acts as a filler, goes into all of the cracks and open pores of the wood, and will harden and fill that. So that is lovely and smooth now. I'm not going to need to worry about that. And once I had burnished in the oil with a cloth, I took the shavings to burnish the surface of the wood, and now it is just lovely and smooth and has a really nice natural shine to it already. And to finish it, ultimately, I'm going to give it a quick buff up with Yorkshire grit as a base coat for Hampshire Sheen High Gloss, and I'll use that as a top coat. And here's the finished inside of the bowl. I'm really pleased with the finish that I've got on here again. The wet sanding with the oil and burnishing really makes all the difference for the level of your finish. It's quite easy to take shortcuts to just get it done, but if you do that, then you're not going to get as good a finish as you could do. And again, stunning grain on the inside there as well. I really like the bits of heartwood that are left on the edges as well. So the last thing I need to do is reverse it on cold jaws and put a nice foot on the bottom of here. I think I've just heard a knock on my garage door though, so I think my little helper is going to come in and do a bit of sweeping up for me as I get ready to turn this bowl.
Yeah, that's it. Put it on the speed. Oh no! Put it in the bin. Good boy.
Good boy.
In the bin. That's it. In the other bits. That's it.
Good.
Get that big bit over there, look. Get that big bit. No, that's Daddy's brush. Special thanks to Finlay there for his help in cleaning up the floor a bit. When he's older, I think I'll have to give him a full-time position as my workshop cleaner. But for now, we'll get this foot finished on this bowl. What I'm going to do is remove the tenon and then hollow out just a little bit on the bottom there to leave a little rim of a foot for it to sit on. Not too thin, I don't want it to be likely to crack if this continues to move a little bit, but not too thick. I want it to be a nice delicate foot. and here is the finished bowl. I'm really pleased at how this is finished. It's been quite surprising to me, and I've learned a lot from this project, and it's an example of how impatience can sometimes pay off, as it could have been weeks if not months that I could have been sitting waiting for this to dry naturally. But just coming home from work and sticking it in the oven for an hour has allowed me to get this lovely bowl finished. There was a few little cracks that formed as a result of putting it in the oven, but it in no way takes away from the finished piece. My process of sanding with oil has filled them really well, and the finish that I have on it as well. If it wasn't for the fact that I know that they're there, feeling it, you'd have no idea of knowing. So it's a trick I think I'm going to use in the future. I have a lot of green wood, I have a lot more cherry, and I have a lot of elm as well, so I think I'm going to have to turn a few more bowls and experiment with putting it in the oven at different temperatures for different times to see what works the best, to see if I can find a way that maybe will make it not crack as much. But I hope you've enjoyed this video and seeing this. It's been a bit of a journey for us, and I hope you've learned from it as much as I have as well. And I want to give a quick thanks to all of my subscribers for continuing to support me and to watch my videos. My next video is going to be just a talking video where I kind of explain a bit about my hopes and my ambitions for this year and the things I'd like to get out of my wood turning, and also what I can produce for you to view on YouTube. I have a lot of ideas of things that I'd like to do, new things I'd like to try. In particular, I'd like to get a pressure pot so I can begin working with resins and incorporating that into my wood turning, as I have a lot of dried pieces of burr elm that aren't really big enough to do a project out of themselves, but incorporating resin into that, I think I'd be able to make some really quite nice pieces from that. So that's one thing, a little taster for the things that I hope to get out of this year and to share with you as well. So if you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe so that you can tune in for that video where I go through those things, and also for all of my past and future projects as well. As always, thanks for watching.